Let it go. Let it be.
Everyone, thank you so much for being with us this evening. We are unbelievably excited tonight. We want to first, with much gratitude, give gratitude to our traditional owners and ancestors of these tribal lands we are sitting on right now, and wherever you are as well. We are at Ogapoge Owinge, also known as Santa Fe. Thank you all for being with us tonight. We honor the communities who ground us and the ancestors whose vision continue to move us forward. I wanted to let you all know that this evening we have a very, very special guest, Summer Crider. And you know, Summer Crider was introduced to me by a dear friend, Carla Garcia Fernandez. And Carla said, you guys should meet. So Summer traveled into Santa Fe, and we met supporting a student that was doing a master's program finale up on Canyon Road. And it was wonderful to meet there. And since then, we've really cultivated a deep, deep friendship. I consider Summer to be my sister, my friend, my colleague, our ally. And if there's anything anybody can do to learn from Summer, I highly encourage it, because Summer is fearless. She's fierce. She doesn't have any manual instruction to a lot of stuff that she embarks upon. And some of the stuff she's embarks upon, I don't think anybody's ever quite tried it. We'll talk about that. But Summer really loves the outdoors. And there's a whole long list of outdoor stuff that Summer's been involved with since she was born. Summer was raised in Florida around the swamps by some amazing parents that I want to hear about also. So, without much ado, I want to start the evening with a recording that Summer blessed us with. And it's one of her many adventures. So we're going to take a couple of minutes to watch this, and then we're going to jump right into the interview. So, Elena, are you ready to roll?
Hi there. I want to share with you a personal story of how real healing can happen and how I came to that realization. Years ago, I was going through a pretty tough time in my life, and I knew I needed some personal healing. At that time, I was traveling, and I was on a mission to learn about different healing practices that the world has to offer. I had traveled to different countries. However, there was one memory that stuck out to me the most. Tulum, Mexico is a place with a strong indigenous historical and cultural presence. Modern-day Tulum is filled with white, Caucasian, wealthy businesses. The area has become more commercialized and, in turn, has changed the culture. I had seen pictures of the beautiful scenery that Tulum has to offer, as well as its healing practices. So I set out on my journey. I was a solo traveler. It was just me and my backpack. I was taking in the scenery around me, the forest, the trees, the sun was setting in the distance. And I saw many New Age healing workshop signs that were offering yoga, healing meals, and sound healing. Now, I am familiar with the sound healing practices that are talked about in the US. The sound healers are very focused on the sound that rings from the bowls, and how if I can't hear the sound, then I won't be able to experience the healing effects. I always tell them that my ears are fine, and that's not the thing that needs the healing. So I decided to check out the sound healing ceremony for myself. I walked up the steep stairs to the place where the workshop was held. I saw white presenting people wearing native and Indian inspired clothing. All around the room there was crystals and sound bowls and various objects that are used for cleansing and healing from various cultures. I thought to myself, well, that's all very interesting, as I made my way to the cashier. I explained to the woman that was behind the counter, in her own native-inspired dress, that I was deaf and would like to partake in the ritual. She continued to speak to me verbally and shooed me away, saying, this is not for you. I was completely stunned by her dismissal. I was not expecting that to happen at all. I walked out of there and made my way back to the beach, with my whole body in complete shock. I collapsed into a beach chair outside the hotel and tried to breathe through it. As the sun was continuing to set, I noticed a gentleman raking the sand along the beach. He seemed like an older, dark-skinned man. I thought that maybe he was a local Mexican worker. At first, I just watched him as he raked the sand in front of the resort. He was combing the beach, making it into the perfect, unnatural look that the tourists expect. Even though it's sand, it should be left in its natural state. I was still upset and fuming about the experience that I had in the sound healing workshop, but I didn't want to sit there in anger and let that moment harden me. As I took in the scenery around me, something inside of me shifted. I instead wanted to respond to this experience in a form of action. And I knew exactly what I needed to do. So I walked up to the man and I used the few gestures that I had picked up along my travels. I signed to him in the few Mexican sign language signs that I knew, and I asked if I could help him. The man at first looked me up and down and chuckled, and he reluctantly handed me a rake. Both of us raked the sand together. As the sun set down into the sea, I felt as if my own heart was being raked clean. I noticed in that moment that there is power in the ability to give back and help others. If I would have sat there in my anger, it probably wouldn't have helped anything. But here in this moment, we're two different humans living two vastly different lives. Our backgrounds differ, our cultures are different, and even our genders and ethnicities are varied. But in this moment, we shared a sense of what it feels like to push away the systems built on marginalization and oppression. Later that evening, I reflected on my day. I will never know if that night changed his life or the world, but it for sure changed me. From that experience, I learned that healing actually takes place when we share ourselves and our community. Healing happens when we give back to our sacred lands and when we have connection and reciprocity. And that is the story that I want to offer you tonight.
Okay, everybody, let's breathe a little bit and just breathe that one in. That story is a real tearjerker on so many levels. So let's jump right into it, Summer. Tell us about yourself. Let's start with your childhood.
Summer speaking. Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Summer. My sign name is like this, Summer. And for access purposes, for access needs, we might have some deaf or deaf-blind individuals. I'll give a visual description. I'm a white presenting person. I have glasses, brown hair with bangs. I have on a black shirt. I'm sitting in front of a fireplace. And well, Tosh, you asked me to talk about my childhood. So, I was, as Tosh mentioned, I was born in the Florida swampland on Indigenous territory or Indigenous land, the Seminole area, the Timucuan, and the Muskogee areas. Tribes are from that area. That area is also known as Gainesville, Florida. My parents are environmentalists. They're also musicians with folks as folk singers. My dad does wildlife biology. So I grew up very connected with nature. I have pictures to show you because I'm a visual person. Here's one of our family. Although or my past and in my ancestors, I don't have connections to Native American indigenous blood, but my values in being raised and my family's values in terms of caring for the environment and preservation of our planet, I think in many ways that does align with Indigenous wisdom, with Indigenous values of preserving Mother Earth as well. So I grew up with my father always talking about and always telling me about Indigenous histories, Indigenous studies. Anytime we would walk in the woods together, we would explore. He would keep an eye out for arrowheads. My dad would visit powwows with me as well. We did that growing up. Now, I became deaf when I was 3 years old. I was born with hearing. Uh, so I did have music and sound in my world until I was 3 years old. When I was three, I became deaf. And growing up, my parents, it was a little bit tough of a path for them because they had to figure out how to provide me the best life possible in their eyes. And so I navigated my life working on figuring out how to deal with my new identity as a deaf child, working through educational system that was designed for those who speak and can hear. So I did move around exploring different schools growing up. I attended a private school, the Montserrat Waldorf School, which has a huge presence in the country. I was in what's called a mainstream program, meaning I was with other hearing students. And at the very end, I went to a residential school for the deaf. So I've gone through the whole gamut. I learned sign language. My mom, fortunately, already knew the alphabet by the time I had become deaf. So she knew that I would be okay. My father, when he thought of deaf, he thought disability, barriers, impossibilities. So there was a lot of efforts, a lot of trying to have me change. I received a cochlear implant when I was 6 years old. Now, it was a mutual decision shared by my parents and myself. I did want to be able to hear again. And I understood the risks of the surgery. I understood what was involved. And I made that decision. So I've journeyed a world where I've signed and I've spoken and I've grown up looking for a place to belong. So I've had plenty of experiences that I feel mirror what people who are marginalized may experience, meaning that I feel like an outsider looking in. The area I grew up in, everyone was hearing, and I was the only deaf one, so I really had a strong sense of being an outsider. It wasn't until I finally went to a deaf school that I feel I found my identity, I found my culture, I found my values, my sense of self. And from then on, I wanted to be a part of that world moving forward. I went to Gallaudet University as well. I'm a graduate of Gallaudet University. I then moved to Austin, Texas. Then at that point, I've continued teaching. Then at one point, I decided, I mentioned in my video just recently that I decided to have a life change. I felt too reliant on technology, too much stimulation. I had anxiety. I also have ADHD. And I decided to take a break from work. And then I found national therapy. And I felt that with natural therapy, it was a new path for me. And my path has shifted, and I've been walking in that direction more often, more than I was before. Tosh?
Thank you so much for that introduction to give us a little taste of who you are in the context, because you know what they say, context is really everything. So I wanted to ask you about the musical background of your parents and your experience being raised amongst musicians, and how you turn that musicality through your lens into your life, and how you engaged with, like, did your parents take you to folk festivals? Did you, yeah, can you talk a little about your parents' approach to, as musicians, to having a deaf child?
Right, right. My parents, as musicians, my dad's, would I call it a specialty? I guess that's what it would be called, right? My dad's specialty of music was educational related, with Florida's disappearing wildlife. So my dad wrote songs that he sang that spoke to that theme, right? To preservation of wildlife. Both my parents traveled throughout the state of Florida. They went to schools, like, for example, elementary schools. They went to senior citizen centers. They went to whatever program they could find and performed their folk songs that they wrote themselves, that were educational. And in that, they conveyed to people what was happening, the disruption of springs, the reduction of swamps in Florida, the animals that were becoming the Florida panther that was becoming extinct. Uh, they spoke to that in their songs, and they did that work. So that was the kind of environment where I was raised. And my mom, of course, very touching, wanted to provide me access to what they were doing. So my mom and I would practice signing to the songs that they'd write. And I just found a YouTube video of my parents, very touching for me. I found a YouTube video of my parents with my mom performing the sign language to the song. Uh, Now, my parents also sang with Seminole musicians, and my parents were always, they wore in Seminole clothing while they performed. Uh, that was just part of their effort to show support for the Indigenous community, for other artists, and their allyship. So that was a little bit about the musical experience within my life. And I have to admit, I love music. I completely do. That was one of the biggest reasons I decided to go for the cochlear implants. I wanted to be a part of my parents' world. And the only thing, though, is that the cochlear implant did not make me 100% hearing. I'm still deaf. I'm completely deaf. I love signing music as well. And I have accepted both worlds in parallel. When I was a senior in college, I decided to do my thesis focused on deaf music or deaf musicians, because I felt that both hearing, the hearing world and the deaf world, they have a perspective of music as not being a part of deaf culture. And I wanted to dispel that. I see that the deaf community has their own style, their own distinct songs, their own culture that is not influenced by hearing society, not translated, not interpreted, but they have their own type of musicality and their own percussion style as well. Uh, Drums, clapping, chanting, built into the sign language. So I wrote about that as well for my thesis there. I made a video about it. But over time, it became very political. The conversation caused a lot of controversy about the interpreting of music, uh, language and cultural appropriation came into play with that conversation. So I started to separate myself and distance myself from that. And then I met Elena and Tosh, and they wanted me to support interpreting songs. This is about 2, 3 years ago. And I still privately for myself would listen to music and stay involved in interpreting of music and songs. So yeah.
That is such a wonderful articulation of the question I had. So I just wanted to add that as a musician myself, to me, everything has a beat. Everything has rhythm. Everything has this word that when I was a kid I didn't understand called prosody. Particularly people that sign. So when I see people signing, Summer, I am not kidding you, I see music. I see beat. And I don't translate it into sound, but it's got its own visual beat. And everyone that signs has their own unique style. So I see everyone has their own musical prosody as they sign. And certainly some maybe more so than others, but just that beat. I mean, even in, reading literature, that comma splice, that period, that new paragraph, just the timing in that, and all of that is just unbelievably beautiful. So before we move on to the next question, Elena, would you mind putting up 2 pictures of Summer's parents? Okay, there we go. That's your mom, and there's the dad in the background, and then when they were young.
I'm coming home.
Okay.
Oh, hold on one.
Summer, go ahead.
Yeah, we were on the deck, and that was my family's home that we built right in the middle. Well, it was near the shore, I would say, of the lake, by the swamp, right there. And at that time in Florida, my parents had special permission to live there because, again, of the wildlife that surrounded that area. It was a conservation area, and so there was no other homes or neighbors nearby. So we were able to live right there and alongside with the alligators and the snakes and all of the things. Yes, act for real, we did. My family was right there on the deck. I mean, we could see everything. So the other picture was my mom standing, playing the guitar out on the deck. Oh, my mom's just joined. I saw her name pop up. So hi, Mom. I was just talking about our picture that we have of you standing playing the guitar on the deck.
That's awesome. Well, I was going to ask you about the alligators and the swampland. Well, my real question to you is, how has the land been your teacher? How has the humidity been your teacher? The heat? I mean, how do you deal with all of those? To me, they feel like obstacles because I'm in the high desert, dry New Mexico, which I love because I'm like a lizard person from the Navajo reservation. So I love we call the lizards our Cheis, Cheii, which in Navajo means grandfathers. So we respect them. So as a lizard person, I'm like, okay, alligators, how would I deal with that? Humidity, how would I deal with that? Can you talk a little bit? How has the land been your teacher?
This is Summer's voice. I guess there's kind of 2 ways that I've learned. One would be by watching my dad, as he was studying the wildlife. And not just studying the wildlife, as a scientist, not only that method, but he would always model, and show that we have to have respect for nature. He would watch and observe. So I would watch and observe him. I mean, anytime we would go hunting, or we would see a bald eagle, anytime we would see one hurt or injured, we would help them by bandaging their leg, and the alligators as well. I mean, I learned so much from that wildlife science, and I can really know their traits from that. And also on a spiritual level as well. I read a lot, and my dad, he wasn't always the easiest to communicate with. He never learned sign. He apologized to me as of this day about that, but it was kind of hard to communicate with him. But he loved the wildlife, and it was hard for him to share that with me. But I learned by reading his publications. He talked a lot about the indigenous wisdom and indigenous his ways, and his connecting to that. That was my way of learning the value of conservation, and by being one with the land and all of the animals as well. So I guess also one thing I would say, when I was 13, no, maybe I was 11, I was an animal rights activist at that time. Yeah, I was really at that time, that was my first passion, to be a voice for the voiceless, all of the animals. I felt very similar in that realm, as far as I couldn't speak and they couldn't speak. I'm a human and I can protect them. So I always wanted to be and become a some sort of wildlife expert. I didn't really see any deaf people working in that field. And so I thought, well, maybe I can. There's some people that say deaf people are better off being teachers, or they're just better off, being a psychologist or helping other people. So, that's been most of my career as well, has been in that field. But my life has really been impacted and changed, and that really by the reminders of Mother Nature, and being close to my homelands, and being connected with people that are also connected with nature, and bringing them to find the connection with nature. And that really saved me from Summer, just to clarify, suicidal? Yeah, to save me from suicidal thoughts. And nature really was my medicine. And so that's now how I lead. And I lead my forest therapy, and I lead other groups as well with my nonprofit. And so that's kind of how it's all connected. And the land just really reminds people that we are all part of the land, and we are part of nature. We are all coexisting.
Wow, that's okay. Before I ask you about how many alligators you've encountered around your house, let me talk about your leadership positions. And I actually made a little list, so I'm just going to go through a little list, and I'm going to read something here. So your leadership in the outdoors, particularly focusing on deaf communities, bringing people back into nature and making the pathways for accessibilities, and address the barriers that come with the different types of misunderstandings of the varieties of disabilities, because that word, DA, it's a loaded, it's like boom, it's not one, disability is not just one thing. So you've been in touch with indigeneity, you've been in touch with teachers, you've established relationships, always asking permission. I know that about you. And your shared struggles with language, culture loss, cross-cultural understandings, juxtapositions, misunderstandings, the list can go on. Instead of you telling us of all the roles you've had in that, can you talk to us about your hope for future collaborations and do that. And then I've got another question for you. I know that's a lot, so yeah. We're good though. We're doing really good on time. Thank you.
This is Summer's voice. Okay, so you want me to kind of share about my different roles in my life that I've led? Is that what you're asking for, Tosh? Okay. So I did graduate in art therapy / psychology and the expressive arts. Again, I really wanted to help people, especially with mental health. That was really important to me. That was one thing that I was interested in. And then I also decided to kind of change my career. I decided to go to master in cultural studies. And that kind of happened in between things. So that what happened was I changed my major, excuse the interpreter. So I was working on feeling like I wanted to just dive in, I was an empath. And the psychology, I was feeling kind of immersed in cultural studies more, just because cultural studies with that program, I was really connected with people with disabilities and diagnosis and the medical system as well. And that system wants to put people in boxes and label them and assign them with the labels. But I really think that individuals need to be separated from that. And it didn't feel right in my eyes. So I started to look at cultural and language as a fluid system. And I learned about oppression as a system as well. And I was learning different ways to navigate that. And it can actually harm people. The psychology system, it can oppress people. It's not looking at the whole picture and their trauma. And so I got really interested in that as well. And so I decided to venture off and become a teacher. And teachers can make impacts in small ways. We can really impact young minds that are developing. And so, yeah, I was a teacher, and I felt like I could pour my whole heart and my whole life into my students, especially for the first few years. And then I did experience burnout because, again, of the educational system, especially within deaf education, it didn't really support everything that I was trying to instill. So I had to step away. I worked in K-12 as a teacher at a deaf school. And then I worked at the community college and the university level, and still I feel like I could make an impact at that level. I did share some personal life with that as well. And then, yeah, I created a lot of ASL videos about social justice. That was another thing that I was really passionate about. And that made me try and people were able to see my own skill at that time. And I was a teacher, and I was translating and making content through these videos. And so it was a way to make things accessible and educational through the media. And so I became involved with a lot of technology and videography and screens. And so I knew how to use that as I was coordinating around the world, setting up interviews, and doing the documentary, and was at the university level. And so that was when I also kind of hit my limit at that time as well. It was hard to balance the technology aspect as well as self-care. That was a really hard balance for me. So I was going through a lot of spiritual and sensuality shifts in my life, and also I was struggling with my identity, trying to figure out where I fit. So I needed a break. I decided to just take care of my own self. And I traveled the world, and that's where the part of my story about Tulum comes in. And at that time, I realized, yeah, I think that I need to pave my own path. And I decided to become the first culturally deaf nature therapist guide. And from then on, I've continued my travel across the country, connecting with various people in the deaf community, talking about mental health, talking about nature, talking about disability. And I do want to answer your question about disability as well, something that I learned through nature, actually, my time. Again, reconnecting with the land because it is my teacher. So one thing in nature that I learned is that disability is not something that needs to be solved. Disability is actually just a human construct that's been built from these systems. Again, the patriarchy, really, that's where it's came from. And it doesn't matter. We're human. We come from all different walks of life, 4 legs, 2 legs, the winged animals. We are all one, and that's where we need to remind people, if we feel stuck in a oppressed system or society that doesn't accept us, go out to the trees, look to them for the support that you need. So I think that may have answered all of your questions.
Yes, very good. So as you say, disability disappears in nature. I love that because I learned from nature through the eyes of my traditional grandmother who didn't speak a word of English. But she could commune with the stars, the moon. She knows all the different lunar sizes of the moon, and she would talk to me. And, our friend Arletta, who's here tonight, she's a traditional Navajo woman that is profoundly deaf that lives in Lukachukai, Lukachui, and she makes it work, And these are my teachers. So these teachers that nature is their best friend, they teach me. So I learn from them. They're the 5-fingered ones, as we call in Navajo. Human beings are Bila'ashtlai, 5-fingered ones. So I'm really curious about your nonprofit that you just got recognized. Did you want to talk about the name of your nonprofit and why you picked that name and what is your mission and values? And then we're going to do a commercial break, and I'll ask you how you plan to incorporate your nonprofit into family. And in that, just answer, what does family mean to you? And then we'll call it, okay? And then we'll bring Elena in. Thank you.
Summer here. Okay. So me, then Elena. I got that right, Tosh? Okay. Okay, thank you. So yeah, the name of, and it's not necessarily my nonprofit, but the nonprofit is an organization. So I like to speak of it as our nonprofit is the Giving Cypress Foundation. The Giving Cypress, that word, was originally the name of my first business, those wordings, but I changed it. And I felt like the giving, that expressed the outward motion of giving. And I realized I'm deaf, I'm queer, I'm disabled. As a single business owner traveling around, I realized that wasn't sustainable because I knew that the communities I serve, I'm passionate about service. I knew that those communities, not all of them had the ability to afford to be off, to be able to attend my sessions, or the abilities to afford to pay for the sessions or whatever other barriers they may have in the way. And I realized that was something that I felt was very important to address. I know that conservation or conservationist doesn't really make money. And I know that working with people who have disabilities, again, is not really hugely sustainable. So I decided to break away and give that name to a nonprofit organization where we could seek funding in different ways, government grants, through philanthropy or philanthropists, uh, tax deductions or tax write-offs for people by forming partnerships. I really am looking for those collaborations, those partnerships with any entity that has shared goals or any individuals that have shared goals. And it took about a year before we finally got it approved. And we built up the organization. We built it with circles because we want to have people feel that they could be a part of these circles, be supportive to each other. We have a support circle, a volunteer circle, a core circle. Pretty soon we will have a reading circle. I'm very excited about that. Tosh, you also talked about what family means to me. So to us, that question is a, a book that we, the Giving Cypress Foundation, decided to start with. And I have that here with me. See here? So that theme of family is present in the book titled Becoming a Good Relative. And when I think of that word, relative or family, I think they're very close to each other. They parallel each other so much. When I was building relationships with my spiritual family, with my indigenous families here in Florida and across the Turtle Island, something that came up is Mitaktui Yokan is a Logan term for all my relatives or all are my relatives. And it means that we're all one. We're all family. The land is our family. You can see turtle is our friend. Alligator too. The snakes. They're our relatives as well. They're our family. Our backgrounds, our ancestors, we're all one. So that's what family means to me.
You nailed it. Thank you so much for incorporating three questions into one. And the only reason I did that is because we are seriously out of time with this part of the show. So I'm going to thank you, Summer, for your beauty, and I'm going to pass it over to Elena just for a moment, and then we'll bring everybody in to say hello to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tash. Thank you, Summer. I this is Aroha. Aroha means love. And I just want to describe myself.
Love, oh love, Elena.
Black, thick, curly hair, chocolate brown complexion with black rimmed glasses. I'm wearing yellow hooped earrings with a jean wash denim, and underneath that I have an olive shirt keeping warm. So thank you so much, Summer, just for the essence of being you and sharing your medicine from the video intro, your medicine words, just so many comments in the channel. So what I'm going to do, and Summer, if you just want to grab a beverage before everyone comes on, I'm just going to do a commercial break, and then invite everyone who's in here live to come in if you've got any questions for Summer. What I'm going to do now is just let you know what is coming up. So we have the beautiful Sage Bond, who will be joining us same time, same place, same channel. And she is from the Four Corners on the Navajo Nation. She is a singer-songwriter, trained in opera, and she will be here to share her influences of her personal life, culture, and she's big into heavy metal. So anyway, I know you want to be able to share this incredible informative medicine video of Summer Crider, and a big shout out to your mum who's on here too. Thank you so much for being here. In the next 48 hours, Summer's video will be available at our website, IndigenousWays.org. There you'll see Summer as well as over 200 presenters in our video library that we have hosted through the Indigenous Ways Wisdom Circle since April 1st, 2020. All of them have ASL interpreters. All of our programs are free, having access for everyone. So you can share that while you're at our website, IndigenousWays.org. We would love you to subscribe to our newsletter, which goes out monthly, and sometimes if we get excited, maybe twice in the month. You'll see zipping along below me. If you are into social media, please like or subscribe to our pages. Also on our YouTube channel that's just flashed across the screen, you'll be able to see all of our Indigenous Ways virtual events that we have hosted during this time. I want to thank our sponsors that have made this possible for us to do, and that is the City of Santa Fe Arts and Culture, and also the National Endowments of the Arts. We're also grateful to each and every one of you, our beautiful staff and board members and individual donors who make this possible. Here's a little bit of highlight for Indigenous Ways. And as the beautiful Summer was saying, they are now federally recognized as a non-profit. So we have been very blessed throughout 2025 to have raised over $208,000. We've had an outreach, including through this platform, over 68,000 people. And with the programs that we've had this year, with the festivals, that the beautiful Summer came with Mario and was an interpreter, that we were very blessed. We've had over 2,100 volunteer hours, and to date we've received over 22 grants, federal, state and local, which is also important as Summer was talking about. So 50% of grants that we have received. Also, what we have been very blessed, not only having our summer, our September and August festivals, also our monthly Wisdom Circle, which is online. We have an internship program and blessed with students from the Institute of American Indian Arts and Stanford University. We were also honored in October at the Santa Fe Mayor's Award for Excellence in the Arts for Cultural Connects. So we've had a really fabulous year, and we've had a fabulous year because of each of you. So thank you, and if this is your first time in the circle, welcome to the family. If you're able to donate, whether that be to us or especially to Summer, the details are there. For us, it's on our website in Donate. or you can do snail mail or PayPal, Venmo that we accept. All of it helps. And so it's that wonderful time where we get to invite all of you to come on. We've got about 9 minutes. This is that time for you to find, if you go to the bottom corner of your device, and you'll see the video there. Hey, Eagle AM. You'll see, and then all you have to do is click it on.
Hi.
Hey, Catherine and Tash, I'm going to leave it to you. Hey, Patty and Joanne.
Hey.
Hey, Laura. Oh, it's
Hey.
exciting. Great to see you all. Tash.
Where's Arletta? No, I'm just
Tash,
kidding.
we got 9 minutes. And while
Okay,
we're
everyone,
all here, we just, hang on, Tash. We just want to give a massive shout out and congratulations to the Lumbee tribe of North Carolina. Today, they secured their federal recognition. And they've been waiting 135 years. So to our board member, the beautiful Nicole Oxendine, who's Lumbee. We've also got the beautiful Judy Stout, who is here. Congratulations. Tash.
All right, let's hear. Arletta wants to say something to Summer.
Oh, wonderful story, Summer. This is Arletta's voice. Thank you so much for sharing. I know you were talking about communicating with the trees and the forest and how everything is really sacred, and I agree. The birds as well. Sometimes they struggle, they're hungry or they're suffering, and they're just surviving out there. Same with the dogs that we see out on our reservation. They reflect what we see and how we accept our lives as well. We can't be angry, we can't be mad about these things. So I completely agree. It's just a part of life. Summer saying, yes, I agree completely. I agree, Arletta, fully.
Okay, who wants to talk next? Raise your hand. Who wants to talk next? Okay, let's go. Let's hear from Catherine, Summer's good friend.
Catherine said, I'm going to go ahead and sign. I was just so excited to finally connect with you, Summer. Yeah, it's awesome. You were able to be with Tosh and everything. Get interpreters going. It's great. It's so wonderful. Your story is great, and I know some parts of your story and some things that you've learned. And it's great that you share your heart with us. Thank you. It motivates us in a big way to see the big picture of everything, a way to heal and provide access. So thank you. You inspire me so much. Thank you, Summer. Summer saying, you too, my sister. Thank you so much. Support. I love you.
All right. Laura Cook, let's hear from you. Laura, what's up?
This is Laura. Hi. Yeah, I'm doing good. I've been traveling and I'm happy to see everyone's faces. I'm happy to see Summer. I mean, everything's good. I enjoyed learning about your parents and your background. I mean, really, really cool stuff. I'm excited to learn even more. And I've done some work with you as well. It's been wonderful.
All right. Let's hear from Sin King. Hey, Sin, what's up?
Hi, this is Cynthia. I noticed, I recognize some people here. Yeah, and again, wow, I'm just deeply touched. I've learned a lot from wildlife as well, and nature, being out there, just, you can always find that connection. The interpreter missed that sign there.
In the bayou of South Louisiana.
It just was able to go out and explore, sit out there in nature, and also see the wildlife. I wasn't scared of these alligators or anything. They would just come up, take a peek at me, and go on their way. Yep. I would see the birds just living their life out there. And here in this area as well, just recently in November, I noticed something odd. I was like, the area here has changed over the last 20 years. Oh, whoa. It's just interesting to see how things have changed. I don't know, Chris, if you can take it.
I was able to take the kayak through. There are people that visit the area with their kayaks, and it's not the same as when I remember back then. But now I'm in training for the program with Summer, so I'm really passionate about it. Said I'm just grateful. Thank you.
Awesome,
Much
so
love.
much. Awesome. Thank you very much. And did I see Michelle's hand up? Where's Michelle?
Hello.
Hi, there you are. Hi.
Hi, Summer. I love your connection to trees. You name your organization about the cypress and your parents with the connection to nature. And I love your fireplace. Even the palmettos and the trees behind you are just beautiful. Thank you for your work.
Awesome. And I wanted to give a shout out
Well,
to
thank
Peggy.
you. Thank you.
Is Peggy still with us? Okay, I thought Peggy was here.
No, I'm
Peggy,
here.
did you want to say something? Hi, Peggy.
Hi. I'm so glad I joined today. I had the pleasure of hanging out with Tosh and Arletta yesterday, and Sandy, her little chihuahua. And Tosh shared the Tulum story with my partner and I, and it was so great. I just felt like I had to be here when she interpreted it, and we watched, and it was just it was beautiful. And so thank you for the bigger story tonight. And I loved hearing everything that you had to say, and we'll follow you and see what continues with you. Beautiful story, beautiful life.
Thank you
Thank
so much, Peggy. We love you. And Stuart, thank you for all of your love. And let's go to Shauna, last one for the night. Shauna, would you like to say something?
Yeah, I do. This is Shauna. Hi, Summer. It's just such an honor to be here and to see everyone here tonight. And I just want to say thank you. The two of us have known each other for 4 years now, and you just continue to be a big inspiration for me, related to my role. You just have a great role model out in the world for me and the deaf community as well. So again, I just want to say thank you for inspiring me to continue on my journey to reach my goal with that.
All right. Well, we wanted to thank everybody for being here tonight, and thank you for investing in Indigenous ways. Your donation keeps our festivals and wisdom circles free and accessible with ASL and ADA seating rooted in Indigenous knowledge. Every gift supports artists of all generations and cultures. Everyone is Indigenous. Everyone is Indigenous. And many of us are mixed with the beautiful colors of yellow, red, black, brown, white. We're just beautiful people, five-fingered ones. Thank you all so much. And Zoom, social media, and those watching the recording, and a special shout out to our amazing ASL interpreters, Mariah Garcia and Crescenciano Garcia Jr. Give love to your family from all of us, both of you. You come from such beautiful people to be such beautiful, making inclusion happen for our beautiful deaf and hard of hearing relatives. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here. We'll see you January 21st with Sage Bond, and she is amazing. And she's bringing her mom into her metal world as well. She's going to be recording with her mom, who I went to Tuba City High School with on the reservation. Anyways, guys, we love you. Summer.
Let's give it up.
Give it up for Summer, everybody. Summer, keep rocking in your sign and your vision world.
Let's hear your new song.